Happy Friday Eve, and thanks so much for joining us tonight on Unscripted at 6:30. Well, it was a dry day today outside for most of us, which was a really lovely sight, and some of us even saw some blue skies and sunshine. But if you missed out on that today, don't worry. Sounds like we have more in the forecast for all of us for our Friday. Is that right, Joe?
Yeah, stick around Northern Michigan for the next few days,
Don't go anywhere.
Looks pretty nice, at least for 2 days coming up here. There was some sun way up north today, but everybody is going to get in on that tomorrow, Maya. So that looks pretty good, and a little bit of a warm up. And you know what? I think just to put this all in a package here, it's going to feel like spring.
Finally.
Yeah, a little bit here because it was chilly. If you go back, Maya, Monday, Tuesday, it was in the 20s in spots.
Yeah.
So a little warm up on the way. We'll look at that and look at it all the way into next week, coming up a little later.
All right. Thanks, Joe. We are continuing our coverage on the historic ice storms that hit northern Michigan. And since then, a lot of heroes and workers have stepped up to do their part to get power back on for many across northern Michigan. They all deserve some praise and a pat on the back. But tonight, we are hoping to give a little recognition to some folks who are quietly providing an essential component in order for lights to be back on for so many people. Our Mark Schlett has this story.
In a typical construction year, we will replace about 800 poles. And in the last 3 days, we've replaced 800 poles.
And right now, we have at least 750 poles that we've replaced in just the last 10 days.
Staggering numbers. The presidents of two power companies shared them with us earlier this week. 1,500 new power poles installed. And those numbers have climbed by hundreds since we spoke to them, which got us wondering, where do all those poles come from, especially in a pinch?
We produce about 25,000 poles a year.
We, in this case, is a company with ties to northern Michigan that stretch back more than a century.
Utility Supply and Construction is the only utility construction and supply company in the United States that makes its own poles.
Those poles essential. Before the lineman can restring, there needs to be something to attach those wires to.
We have 3 full-time foresters who work full-time with every logger, et cetera, in Michigan to find pole quality red pine.
Suitable pines make their way to Hydro Lake's Grayling facility to be debarked and air dried, and then off to McBain for preservation treatment.
The next morning, we could put them on a truck, and we were doing this all last week for our customers in northern Michigan, where we treated it one day, shipped it the next morning.
A rapid response in a time when that's needed.
The other key to us is we have a fleet of tractors and trailers equipped with a crane so that we can go right to the job site and unload the poles for people.
And they have been doing that nonstop for days.
We had our yard people working 70, 80 hours a week to get these things back up. And you're right. If they don't have the poles, then they obviously can't hang the new hardware, et cetera.
Hydro Lake's crews working long hours at the yard and out in the field to make sure those who can get the power back on have what they need to make that happen. Quiet heroes, not asking for appreciation, but pretty deserving of it.
It's part of the culture of USC. When something like this happens, there was no complaints from any of them. They come in and they go to work.
That was Mark Schlett reporting. It was really fascinating to see just all of those poles sitting there ready to be taken to areas across northern Michigan. And Utility Supply and Construction's Hydro Lake facilities primarily get their red pines from the northern lower and upper peninsula forests, and they proudly claim to be the only utility pole provider in the state of Michigan. And while they will respond anywhere that they're needed, they say that being so close to the actual storm damage made their response even faster. And we know that hundreds of workers and companies have really stepped up to help in the process of recovery after those ice storms. That also includes the Michigan DNR. And our meteorologist, Trevor Robideau, spoke to a member of the DNR's incident management team on some of the work that has been done already and some of the work that is still to come.
I live in Grayling, and so I was part of this. I was part of the impacted community. And every 5 minutes, you could hear a snap and crack and snap and crash for days. And when you finally start to see the quantity of what was snapping and crashing, it's really hard to wrap your mind around.
Patrick Ertel is a part of the DNR's incident management team comprised of DNR officers, the Michigan National Guard, and Urban Search and Rescue Task Force 1. The DNR team was tasked with public safety and the safety of crews going to help. Part of that includes the clearing of priority roads to gain access to radio and cell towers around the impact area.
The Michigan Public Safety Communication System supports communications of over 2,600 public safety organizations in Michigan. So when they lose power from this storm, if we would have lost communications, it would have added a level of complexity to this emergency that we didn't want to have to deal with. And so it was of highest priority that as we were opening roads, prioritized by the counties and the State Emergency Operations Center, we were also tackling access into those towers so that crews could get in and do damage assessment, but also critical maintenance to each one of those towers.
The crews got to work right away, quickly finding out this would be a monumental task.
What you think of a road being blocked, a tree might be laying across the road, and yes, it's blocked. We saw that tree apart, a skid steer comes and moves it, but then 10 feet down the road, there's another tree and another one and another one. And then you look up, and for a quarter mile or half a mile that you can see, it's nothing but down trees.
The incident management team has cleared all 47 radio and cell towers in the area, covering more than 630 miles of road.
We're really still in the first phase of responding to maintain safety. Cleanup hasn't even started yet. Cleanup and debris removal is still in the planning process. And in order to do the planning process, there needs to be accurate assessments. And we're in the assessment phase still as we try to make sure everyone remains safe.
In Northern Michigan, I'm Trevor Robideau reporting for UpNorthLive News.
And like many areas, Alpena County is one area that is still reeling in from the ice storm. We know a lot of people are still left without power. The past couple weeks, we've been checking in with our reporters who have been all over Northern Michigan, sharing their experiences with us. Well, today we are joined by Sumner Moore. She is with our sister station, WBKB in Alpena. Sumner, thanks so much for joining us on Unscripted.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on. There's been a lot of terrible things that have happened in the last 2 weeks since this ice has hit our area, and I really just enjoyed the chance to be able to kind of bring these stories and real life daily situations to try to be safe.
So what are some of the things that you have seen across Alpena County when it comes to just the different damage from the storm?
I'm sorry, did you say what is the need?
What are the things that you've seen when it comes to the damage across Alpena County?
Yeah, so I'm actually here in Long Rapids right now, which was hit pretty bad. There's still about 10,000 people in this area that still need power. And as I've gone out to Montmorency and just other places, there are just trees on the power lines weighing them down. And these poles, they're not going to be repaired. They're going to be replaced. And I think that, just says a lot for the amount of damage. Multiple industries, the maple syrup industry, they're not going to be able to replace, their trees. They will eventually in 4 years, but they're going to have to go, get more wood, find more wood to keep doing it right now. And so everywhere you look, you will see some evidence of this ice storm here in Northeast Michigan.
Definitely a lot of long-lasting impacts there around Alpena County. But on the other hand, not only have you seen the different efforts underway to clean everything up and get the power back on, I know you've also been seeing the amazing efforts from people in the community who are helping each other out. What has that been like? What have you seen there?
Yeah, so at the Long Rapids Township Hall, one of the volunteers, there's 3 volunteers over at that township. One of them is a woman named Emily, who's also part of the fire department here. And she has just been describing to me kind of how people are giving up their own personal resources to help people who need them the most. And I think, just seeing some people, they're using their own gas to be able to respond to calls, and people have just been jumping in action to feed each other. If someone posts on Facebook that they're looking for a meal, 10 people reply and they say, we have this effort going on. There's so many efforts right now going on for food, shelter, charging, showers, everything. Everyone is stepping up and helping each other. And I think this time they probably need it more than they ever have before.
Sure. So for folks who are watching in the Alpena County area, if they do need help right now, what can they do? Who can they reach out to?
So for a lot of emergency or a lot of your situations, you're going to want to call 211. But there's also the township halls are opening as daily warming stations, and we've actually compiled a list of resources. Where you can get a shower, where you can go get a cot to sleep on, where you can go get fresh food, where you can go get food for your baby. Those kinds of things. We have all of that on our website, wbkv11.com, and also Alpena Schools has been really good about getting resources out too. So really anywhere you look, there will be some group that is offering the resources that you're in need of.
And I know Alpena School District was one of those school districts that wasn't able to have school for quite some time now. What is the status now on that?
Yeah, so they have returned back to school. And put a survey out to kind of find out how many people needed, were without power. A lot of people responded and they were without power, but they still wanted to get back to school. And I think that says a lot for, the ability for the schools to be such a resource during this time of need that the kids want to be there, even when this whole situation is going on. And so, there's parents and kids across the area that are in school with no power, but the schools have done a great job to be able to give them the resources while they're there and to help keep them be successful as students here in Northeast Michigan.
Right, and kind of start the process of returning to some form of normalcy there. So Sumner, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. And like she mentioned, if you are in the Alpena area looking for resources, you can always go to WBKV's website. You can always call 211. And if you're in any other counties around northern Michigan, head to our website, UpNorthLive.com, for more resources. Thanks again, Sumner. We have one more story to share with you before our commercial break, kind of switching gears here, but staying in the topic of education. It's kind of crazy, just a little side note, how all of this destruction and devastation is happening in so many communities across northern Michigan. And then there's places like Traverse City that, we had a couple of rain showers that day when everyone else was experiencing these ice storms. So in Traverse City, really no impacts, and the school district is actually celebrating some exciting news today. So Traverse City Area Public Schools held a ribbon cutting today at West Senior and Central High Schools for the completion of the school's innovation and manufacturing centers. It is the final project from the district's 2018 capital bond millage. Now, this building that you're seeing footage of right now will be home to the robotics team and STEM classes. The TCAP superintendent says the facility was built to resemble real STEM job environments. Take a listen.
We really think the facility turned out great for that. You can see the open architecture, even all the cables, that a very industrial kind of feel. It could go into facilities that do this kind of work throughout our community and throughout the world. They look like this. And so our kids get that experience now.
And student speakers say they've already had the opportunity to use this facility. Let's take a look at our question of the day today that, just a heads up, it is really not related to any of our news stories, but we know it is starting to get a little warmer outside. And Joe mentioned earlier that this weekend will finally start to feel a little bit like spring out there. So we are just curious, are you planning on starting a garden this year? Scan the QR code on your screen right now. That will take you to our website where you can vote. And it looks like, as of right now, 62% say yes, they do plan on starting a garden this year. 38% no. We will continue to keep an eye on those results and share them with you toward the end of the show. But right now, we are going to take a quick break. Joe will have much more on your forecast for the Friday and for the weekend. And as I mentioned, he said it's going to feel a little more like spring out there. He'll have more details coming up next.
I'm Jada Johnson from Big Boys TV, and the Fish and Game Report is sponsored by Johnson's Propane.
Well, as we keep mentioning, Joe said that this weekend we could experience some more spring-like weather conditions, which I'm sure a lot of us are very excited about. But Joe, my question is this just a break in kind of like the lingering wintry weather, or is it actually, wow, spring is officially starting?
I guess it's how you look at it.
Okay.
I mean, there is, I'll be upfront here. There's the chance next week for a couple snow showers, Tuesday. It's going to be cloudy Sunday, but it'll be mild. So we're not quite there yet. Sometimes I'm with you. You wait for that. Boy, is it going to be 70 and sunny for like 5 straight days? Not yet.
Yeah. Well, not even 70, but just, 50 without snow. Just no snow is my criteria for.
Yeah, I'm putting the notes in right now, what you're looking for. But, tomorrow and Saturday look pretty nice. And let's go to our weather cameras there. So you see the one in the upper left, Whitefish Point, minus the freighter. That's what everyone else is going to see tomorrow. The blue skies, beautiful. Actually, that was a nice catch there. Got the freighter going through there on Lake Superior. Nice. Oh yeah, both.
Yeah, that's really cool.
It is cool. Yeah, I'm not going to even move the camera. We'll just watch it for a minute. But look at Cadillac. It's still cloudy. You will get in on the clearing this evening. And Gaylord's still overcast, too, there in Otsego County. But you, too, will get in on the sunshine. Oh, that's nice, those freighters. All right, here we go. Temperatures this evening. We are in the 30s and 40s. It's much warmer than it was earlier in the week when we were, again, mired in the 20s and 30s on Monday and Tuesday. We've warmed up some. Here's a look at our satellite picture. And we did have some snow downstate. Ann Arbor picked up 2 inches of snow. Nothing, earth-shattering, but it was messy weather downstate earlier this morning. What we are looking at is some clearing now. And you can kind of see the clearing line here starting to work in right here. So there's the edge of the clouds right there. So Alpena, you're in some sunshine now. Sheboygan, Sault Ste. Marie, Detour Village. But down here, it's still cloudy. Beaver Island too, but you will see the skies clearing pretty rapidly. And so when we look at the forecast, look at the sunshine for Friday and Saturday, and then it clouds up Sunday. But then next Wednesday, we get back to a lot of sunshine too. Here's Stormcast. We'll run through this quickly because there's not a lot to show you. We're just going to clear out. Tomorrow, a beautiful day. There's high noon, sunshine Saturday. There we are, sunshine. And then the clouds roll in right there Saturday night. And we could see a few showers on Sunday. So you might possibly dodge a little bit of rain on Sunday. It doesn't look like a lot. And then I mentioned that chance for some snow. Look away. Actually, not really. It's not going to be too bad. But right here, we cool down right there on Tuesday for a couple snow showers. And just point that out that, that's still possible. And there's our extended forecast. So again, it actually, big picture is pretty quiet here. No major weather systems coming in. Decent weekend. It's just going to be cloudy on Sunday with a few showers, and then maybe a snow shower, a little cooler on Tuesday.
All right. Thank you so much, Joe. We are going to take another quick break, but we'll check in with Sports Director Harrison Beebe in just a couple of minutes. Stick around. We'll be right back. Well, golf fans out there are all excited for the return of the Masters, and our sports director, Harrison Beebe, is excited for the return of high school golf. Right, Harrison?
Yeah, Maya, is that why you wore a green dress today?
Sure. Yep. Let's go with that.
Yeah, we just had to catch Maya up on how many rounds the Masters actually is. She now knows it's
4.
Yeah, that's right. 4 days of the Masters. But we'll probably touch more on the Masters tomorrow. Tonight, we're going to hone in on our interview with a couple teams that wear green on the regular basis. That's Traverse City West Golf. We got to talk to 2 of their seniors in the Jimmy John Sports Corner this week about preseason expectations. They're ranked number 1 in Division I, which is a pretty lofty and impressive accolade to add to the resume. But we wanted to chat with them about the game of golf in general and kind of how they got going with the sport.
The following segment is sponsored by Jimmy John's of Traverse City.
Where are the D1 finals this year?
At Michigan State's home course.
Your home course.
4 acres, yeah.
Your soon-to-be home course.
Yeah.
Because Winslow, you'll be going to Michigan State after a year off. You'll be attending East Lansing and the green and white. Really, how did the stars align for you to be a Big Ten golfer?
I never imagined it to be, that way. I was kind of not on, Michigan State's radar for a while, but kind of late in the previous summer, I got in contact and we figured out a way after my year off to come back and, be a Spartan. So I'm super excited. Thanks.
Jason, I heard you'll be playing in college as well. Where will you be heading?
I'll be going straight to Greensboro College in North Carolina after this.
All right. A little more of a southern climate. I'm assuming that was part of the draw there.
Yeah. We're still worried about this season right now, but it's a great opportunity to play in college, and especially for me because I started so late, just over 3 years ago.
Both my parents played collegiate golf, so kind of, I guess, runs in the family from a young age. So that's kind of what got me into it.
Of course, Maya, we know your dad's pretty into golf. And have you scheduled your first round yet this season?
Not yet, but I'm hoping it's going to be soon, right?
Good. It's supposed to be a good weekend, according to Joe.
Yeah, we'll have to see if some courses will be open around here. And I know it's so tough for spring sports in northern Michigan, like we heard in your interview. They're wanting to get out and get going, but Joe said we have snow in the forecast on Tuesday. So
gotta get creative.
Yeah. All right, Harrison, thanks so much for joining us for our sports update tonight. We're going to take another break, but we will check in with the live results for our question of the day. We're talking about a different type of sport in gardening. Straight ahead.
Salon services are furnished by Epiphany Advanced Academy in East Acme.
It looks like spring is in the forecast this weekend, and that has some folks with a green thumb getting excited to start their gardens, I'm sure. So we were just wondering if you're planning on starting a garden this year. You can see the live results on your screen right now. 62% say yes, 38% say no. Over on Facebook, Tammy says yes, Judy, yup, and Deb says every year. I unfortunately voted no. I'm not a gardener yet. Maybe one day if I have my own property and space to actually have a garden, I can actually vote yes on that. All right, that'll do it for Unscripted. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. We'll see you back here at 11 o'clock. Take care.